There's two different ways to put a hedge on. A real hedge would be to buy and sell at the market. The other video I did was a stop entry hedge, which has a little bit different outcome, because say you put a buy stop here and a sell stop here, and this is 5 pips from the dotted to the solid. This is 5 pip window. So 5 or 10 pips or 15, depending on how much risk you want to take. Because you could put a buy stop, you could put a hedge on here, get crushed on one leg, and depending on the last one I did there was a decay, 15-minute decay on the stops. So if you have your stops here and they decay, and then this one doesn't maybe fill because 15 minutes went by, another bar went by, so every 15 minutes here you made money. And you only made money if you were running the 5 pip breakout or the 10 pip or the 12. But it's a way to trade without having to make insane type of predictions. You're really saying, I don't know where the market's going, whichever way it goes, I'm going to go with that. And the other style of entry on a hedge is to lock in a hedge at the market on all these legs across the board. So I did that in this account, and I don't know, really, I'm not going to, like I said, backtesting is a joke. You're just fooling yourself, you know. I'm talking about the backtesting where people say, let me test this Gartley out, let me test this. The past doesn't equal the future, not to mention the fact that you're not taking into consideration your position sizing, time frame. Are you going to babysit this? Are you really going to pull the trigger on that trade? Do you really trust? And the other thing is that if you do build up these backtests, you're like, oh, this is a robust system, I'm just going to just plunge into this. Nothing's going to protect you from the psychological. You've actually complicated your life. In other words, coming up with a great performance backtest may make you overconfident for that strategy, and then you're just going to keep plugging into that. And when you're watching the robot trade like a moron, you're going to say stuff like, well, I can see that trade a mile away. This is the dollar CAD at the 100-yard line. And so here I got into this, well, it's on the other currency, that big profit I have there, the 27 bucks. But that was a hedge thing, and I just put it on because the market was going quiet sideways. Here it's not really good hedging territory. But look at this, once again, without the use of Fibonacci, which I just watched another Fibonacci thing, and it's funny because people whip out their fib tool, and sure enough, tops will become bottoms, right? Like this support this resistance becomes support, and people are like, of course they hear it crush through, right? And you know, they'll say, oh, look at, yeah, but you didn't need that. People put it on there like, I guess they put it on there like curb feelers on their car. Like, if you don't know where the curb's at, just stop driving. But it's funny, you know, I guess you don't want to, back in the day, people don't want to ruin their white walls, I think. But, and look at this round number tag back and then zoom. This is your entry. Do you have to backtest that? Here's your entry. You're going to buy right at the edge, right at support. Going to sell up here. How long is that going to go on? Nobody knows. Now, if you also have in the background the other hedge running, so here's a true hedge entry. This is buy and sell at the market, and I put this thing in the comment line. Now this is all currency dependent, and what happens here is this is a big fat order just to I want to see some. The account's got $50,000 in it. This demo account, so I really want to forward test it next week. Now, it's dependent on me getting to the screen. Unless I had a robot that could see a small ATR, I think it works better when the market's quiet, because these stops are so tight. This is a 2 pip stop. This is a 5 pip stop. And so let's be realistic, right? If you're trading the guppy, you're probably going to get chopped out and never be able to. Well, you'd chop both legs out and you'd stop out of this thing. But this thing literally buys and sells at the market. And you could make it just so it does 20K, but this is doing 80K at the market. Now you're going to immediately, if the market's trading in this narrow range, it's got to make a move. It can't. If it goes like this, you're going to get chopped. If it breaks out and finds direction, then you're going to make profits. And this is kind of this is your scalp out of the gate. This is your kind of midterm. This could be a 150, and this is your big bonus, another 40 pips. So really you're locking in a hedge here with tight soft stops. This is not a hard stop. This is 1 pip away in each stop, and then the market, the scenario it's built for is the market explodes in one direction, and you get out here and you get out here. By here, if it does kick back and slam out this other leg, you're probably making a little bit of money. I don't know the math, and it's all really. Another thing to consider is that, I was watched the very end of a Mark Douglas presentation. It was 8 hours long, and he says in the end that if you buy here with a stop here and your take profit is here, that's okay if this is not 5 standard lots. If this is a small trade and this is your stop and this is the ratio's bad, but the amount of money in this one trade justifies it. Now, I was surprised to hear him say that, because you'll hear people say over and over again, all the Stapletons is that, well, as long as your ratios are good. Listen, the probability of the market moving this much is higher than moving this much under certain conditions. This is all condition dependent. If you're mechanically trading, and a lot of people don't like that because they have a brain and they want to use it, so they want to break out their fib tools and their Gartleys and their Ikamushus, and they want to be sophisticate. This is reminds me of the Aflac comedian who got fired, but he had that joke called, what do you call yourselves? The aristocrats. But that's a joke. So the aristocrats joke's pretty funny because it reminds me of trading. But it's like, well, this, and I put doji in here so that you would actually, when you see a doji, and this is, I'm looking for a 5-pip doji here. That's why I put up the 5-pip grid, to try to get into a mechanical situation. Now, people are going to say, well, if you do this, you're destined to lose. Like I said, it's terrain dependent. The market has to be in certain conditions, just like you don't play golf when it's raining and lightning. No difference here. There is no one fix it, well, I'm just going to do this all the time. This is not putting on a hedge doesn't seem like a good idea when the market's screaming. Of course, if with wider stops here, it might make sense. I don't know any other way to get, like, you could just buy at the market with a tight stop, and this, like, if you have a crystal ball, this kind of takes it out of your hands. Now, the reason why backtesting is a complete utter joke is because what are you going to do? Okay, tested it like this. Now let's back test it and just take these guys off. We'll take off this one ticket here with the tight stop. Now back test it. Okay, great. Now let's try it with this. Okay, now back test it. Even this Jason Greystone admits that if you did that, you would lose your mind. Okay, let's okay, back test. Okay, how we do? Was it? And then after you get it all tweaked out, are you going to trust the thing going forward? This trust, this dependence on the fibs and the news and the come on, can anybody see through this? That it's a complete. You're just really. Who hasn't done this, right? When I was a kid, I think I wanted to find a girlfriend, so I said, well, you know what? What's the latest fashion? Let me get dressed up. Let me make sure that I wash my car. I don't want to show up at the date with a dirty car. Trading is not like that. You can show up with a, you can show up with your hair to show. I mean, it's funny how people have this, well, you have to treat it like a, do you? I would much rather have somebody that just was, they really don't have any what do they call it? Anything invested in the fight. They don't have a horse in the race. This horse in the race thing, and this predictions and these fibs and this. I mean, you're really banking that if I wear this suit, that I'm going to attract this woman. And when you finally get this woman, and you're like, wow, man, I should have just dressed down, because now she's high maintenance and she thinks I'm like, I don't know where this fib thing came from. I think it came from the mysticism of, well, in nature you find these things. Yeah, but you know what? Where's your stop? How are you executing this? And you can hindsight test. You can look back, test all this stuff, and you're just really going to set yourself up for psychological expectations. And if these empowered people are saying, decide, execute, predict. You know what? When the market goes, when people say, "Oh, we didn't see that coming," well, yeah, well, that's what the hedge is about. We don't know where it's gonna. And some of the stuff when the news comes out. Now, would you put this hedge on before the news? Maybe not, because your stops are so tight here. They're going to kick you out of both legs of this thing right out of the gate. And is this the Holy Grail? No. Now, for the person that is looking for perfection, they're totally screwed in this market. But aren't they really screwed in life? Is the idea that this girl that you're with, you're like, yeah, God, she does everything, but she can't cook. And it's just, I don't think there's anybody with half a brain that isn't going through a checklist on a woman. And I guess if you're on the other side of the camp, a guy, whatever mate you're looking for. Hey, mate, whatever looking for. And I think that's the big problem, because we have this view of what's going to happen and the best laid plans. But the contingency backup, the Bill Williams entry. Now, when I saw Bill Williams do this, he's like, what we're going to do is the market's coming down, and we're going to, and he's a fractal trader, so he's waiting for, say, this. He's going to put a buy stop here. But he also says in his system, well, if I'm wrong, I'm going to put a sell stop here, and I'm going to get in, and I got chopped out of that, but I'm going to go with the flow. It's not going up. This is not a double bottom. Or whatever kind of pattern forms in here, doji or wingbat, it's not going to matter, but what I found to be disturbing was, you mean to tell me, and I could never do that trade. I could never do that trade. This is the only baby steps I can get to even doing this trade. So I am doing this hedge breakout because I don't want to be the decider. I don't want to be George Bush or which Bush it was. I don't want to be that guy. I do want to be that guy, but I realize that this not having the burden of direction, that he goes and has a sell stop here and he goes the other way. And the first time I saw that in his book, I said, well, God, but you're getting your ass kicked. Wouldn't it have been better just to sell here at the market or sell here and a stop and not try to? But now that is something you could backtest, but then even that you couldn't backtest because it's time frame dependent, it's currency pair dependent. Each currency has its own spread, its own volatility, its own ATR. Is your system going to have a lever, a big, sinister bar, sinister lever to increase the spread, decrease the spread? Okay, guys, we're running imagine a prop house. I don't know, I guess everybody in a prop house trading their own stuff, but imagine some guy announcing in the morning, like those police meetings you see on TV. Well, okay, guys, go out on the streets there and fight crime. Is there some guy going, well, the ATRs are really big today. We'll break out the really wide stops today. And I mean, where is this coming from? And go through and watch and read the comments in these empowered trading videos. You die. Great video, nice professional presentation. I guess I don't fall into that category. But we're trading, people. And to analyze the market with Fibonacci handles out the wazoo, you know what? Forget about it. I'm sure the mechanical, I don't know if there's a fib bot out there, but there's probably no Fibonacci bots because most of these robots are mechanical trading anyways. But I don't know. I just don't. I think you just have to open a demo account and forward test, because you're going to have to experience the psychological uncomfortableness of not predicting, not deciding. Let the market prove you right. This is an Alexander Elder. If anybody's ever read Trading for a Living, Alexander Elder, he's like, let the market prove you right. You're in a downtrend. Now, it is all stop dependent. If you have a wide stop, what is your ratio, blah, blah, blah. You know what? You're going to have to let that go. You're going to have to just say, okay, well, I know my ratios are 2 to 1 or better. And sometimes you are going to get clobbered, but if you say the market's zooming down, if you don't have a trade plan for that, well, then there's nothing you can do about that. But if the market's zooming down on the 1 hour and you go to the 1 minute and you see this and you see it flag out and you've got a script where you can put a hedge on with a 10 pip stop, this is all presupposing you've got those guns ready. Imagine you go off to war and you've just got an AK-47 and that's all you have. Now, maybe you need a Stinger missile, maybe you need a bazooka, maybe the enemy is so fierce that unless you have that in your toolbox, in your trade plan toolbox, not your toolbox of, oh, I'm running Bollinger Bands. I'm talking about real trading where you've got an order ready to go. Like, I got to, yep, get in here, put it, and you can jump into that. Also presupposes that you can pull that trigger. You're not freezing because you're like, oh my God, what do I do? I didn't expect this giant move. But hopefully you've looked 3 days back on your chart. If you're on the 1 hour chart and you're looking 3 days back, that should be plenty of terrain. Unless you're going into uncharted water, there's plenty of terrain to see where you're at in the picture. You don't need to go back 5 months. You're on the 1 hour chart. The day is going to be over pretty soon. You're either going to blow the account up or make money. And when I say blow the account up, I'm talking about losing money. You know, it's okay to, you know, blow up, but okay. It really comes down, even in EA, if you're afraid to launch this EA, you have to ask where the fear is coming from. So, you know, a lot of this stuff is, you're really seeing, you know, you're at the mercy of your fears. So some of the ways to cure that is to say, well, I don't know. If you can admit you don't know where the market's going, you would put on a hedge. And, or you just put on a directional trade with a stop and go, you know what? I'm probably going to get my ass kicked on this. I mean, you have to assume that you're a complete fucking moron right up front. Then you're good to go. But, I don't know. You know, it's just really staggering the amount of analysis. It's like 90% analysis out there, 10% trading. Where are the traders? I guess they're out trading, and they're certainly not. I don't know. You always wonder that, don't you? I wonder. And you will see people literally they in a live session, and where are the traders? Anybody knows of a trader? Okay, there's one trader out there, and I'm going to put, I always say I'm going to put that link in there. I never do, but this Trader Dante, out of all the traders I've ever seen, he's the only guy that I say, you know what, this guy knows what he's talking about. Very few people understand the market. And this guy, he's like, okay, this is what you do. Everybody else, it's nothing but fluff and puff, and look at my platform. We've got a new market profile. We got this new thing. This is the balance area, blah, blah. Yeah, that's all great and wonderful, but what the fuck do I do with it? What do I do with all this garbage I have on my screen? Well, I got the, not only do you have a fib, I got the retracement fib, I got the inversion fib, and hey, have you seen, why aren't we going into the the Kenter channels in the look at the laundry list in here. Right? What do we got here? Insert. Look at this. Just in indicators alone. You want trend? Oh, I got parabolic, I got standard deviation, I got envelopes. Now all this stuff is in your platform. So what? Here, let me put Bollinger Bands on. Standard right out of the box. Oh, here was my entry. What do I do with this? Well, I don't take a trade. And look at the lag. This is right out of the bag Bollinger Bands. I actually met the Bollinger guy. I know it doesn't seem possible. I know all these. I've been to all that stuff. Years of book stuff. Do I sell into the top of this Bollinger Band? What do I do with this Bollinger Band? Do I sell into the top of that? I'm getting killed. Do I buy here? Do I wait for the Bollinger Bands to come together? Do I not trade during this expansion of Bollinger Bands? Ooh, look at there. I could have sold right at the... what are you, nuts? You sold up there, did you? Well, it's just a double top. Ooh, look at this. I back tested the Bollinger Band, and it works out so good when you set the setting to sell there. You just, it's fantasy. It's mental masturbation. Ooh, here, narrow Bollinger Bands. But what was the trade plan there? Put on a hedge during narrow Bollinger Bands? Maybe. Oh, they stopped me out. Stops are too tight. Hey, backtest it. Hey, Charlie, could you backtest that with a little bit wider stop? Oh, I got great results, but only on the guppy. Come on, people. Stop with the backtesting. The word backtesting. And this Greystone. The secret. The secret. Well, the secret is you against your fears. That's the secret.